Hello everyone and welcome to the Chrissy B Show. Now, what does success mean to you? Now, of course, this varies from person to person, but according to Daniel Midson Short, in general, there are 6 types of success. So I'm going to be going through them quickly in just a moment and see if you can identify yourself in one of these. But I'd just like to say hello to Ian and Helena first, who are here to do the news.
Hi there, how are you?
Hello, I'm well, how are you?
Oh, we're so bouncing tonight.
Good, good,
Happiness,
good.
happiness.
What does success mean to you, first of all, before I go into the 6 types of success?
Success means to me, you know, what's that saying? If at first you don't succeed, try and try and try again.
So
I think, you know,
to
if you've got a passion, go for it and just keep trying. Don't ever think, you know, oh, I failed. You know, that just gives you that ammunition to continue.
Okay, good.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
I think success means to me to fulfilled in life. You know, fulfill all my dreams. I've been terribly lucky. Everything I've ever wanted to do, I've done. Everything that I'm really looking forward to now, I'm doing.
You think it's luck, though? I think you sort of have to go for things.
You have to. I mean, as you'll hear from what we sort of been researching tonight, everybody says that it has been successful, is successful. Keep going. Keep going. Go through all the adversities. I mean, we've had some really, you know, ups and down times in our business. Yeah. But we've always kept going, and we're really successful in what we do now.
It's a mental thing, isn't it? It's that cup half full and half empty.
We're going to show something about that afterwards. You always get it, don't you? All right, so let's go through the 6 types. So we've got the Puritans. Now, these are people that work as hard as possible to make themselves feel worthy for something. So normally they've kind of been raised in an environment where they have to actually prove themselves, maybe to their parents or to other people. And once they've reached one goal, then they're always striving to reach the next one. They're never sort of just not doing anything. Then we have the materialistic kind of success. And these are the people that see success as getting as much luxury as possible, as many goods as possible. And that is actually the way they see themselves successful. If they don't have anything, then they think they're failures. Okay. Then we've got the power type of success. And these are basically people who try to gain as much control as possible. So they want to be managers, they want to be business owners, and they see themselves only successful if they've achieved these things. Then we have the spiritual type of success. Now, normally these kinds of people, they tend to stay away from like the kind of materialistic things, and they focus on like the next world, and they're on another level, basically a different level. Then we have the contributors. So these are normally the people that try to create a better world for other people. So they're not really kind of trying to get things for themselves as such, but they're trying to help others, and they see that as being successful. And then we have the escapists, and these are the ones that basically try to have as much fun as possible while they're here. They're always looking for, you know, some kind of adventure, and they're just looking for maybe a rush, I suppose. And I also believe that some people, obviously, they fall into maybe 2 or 3 categories or more. I think you can sometimes, you know, want all different types of success. But, you know, that's basically we all kind of fall into one or more of these. So I don't know if you guys at home have identified yourselves with any of those of you?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, I've never really looked at it in that way. It's quite interesting.
Yeah. It is, isn't it?
I think it's, I mean, at times when I look at it, because, you know, when at one time I chased money, you know, and I was very, very good at chasing money, very wealthy, you know, high-powered job, you name it, I did it. But with my divorce, I realised that in reality, you know, although I was feeding my sort of ambition, I wasn't feeding myself at all.
So you weren't happy?
I wasn't happy whatsoever.
And how long did that take you to realise?
Until I met you, it took about it took several years.
How funny. Oh, it's interesting though.
So you had some news for us as well, didn't you, about
We
success?
did.
Tell us, we've got a bit of time.
This is just one random one that we had sort of last minute. It was Thomas Edison who invented the light bulb.
Clever sausage.
Yeah, actually, and the motion camera, but more about the light bulb. He had to invent 10,000 light bulbs before he actually got to the one that worked.
But you have to believe in what you're doing.
But just think of the electricity bill.
But the thing is, he didn't.
It didn't work though, did it?
I can just imagine he'd been lighting up a city.
Only one did.
It's better enough in here.
He didn't think, oh my goodness, I've failed when he was going through the 10,000 bulbs. He thought, you know, now I know what not to make in those 10,000 bulbs, and obviously he's a huge success. But
you really do have to believe in your dream to
I think you do.
like that.
Do you know
Don't give up.
I think the biggest thing, I always call it my pilot light, you know, and even in all the ups and downs of my life, I've never lost my pilot light. My pilot light has always been on. And I think,
call it fire in your belly.
Yeah.
Don't lose that. If you've got that, just keep going.
And that's the success, angle to it. I think it's in your genes. My mother gave me ambition. My father gave me chivalry. And I will always be ambitious. I can't help it. I always want to be the best at what I do.
I think you can also learn it depending on your environment, because maybe you say I've been brought up in such a negative environment and I don't think I can ever have ambition, but I think if you surround yourself with the right people and watch the right programs like the Chrissy B Show,
Absolutely.
then you can get this confidence,
confidence
you can get this fire in your
with
belly, as Helena said, and you can go for things.
Absolutely. Moving on to, there's so many different people that have got success in different ways, but Oprah Winfrey, huge obviously in her own right, but in her earlier years she had a really sad time, education-wise, and she went through so much, and it wasn't until she was sort of like a late teenager really that she even had education. But then she sort of went for what she wanted, which was radio and shows. Look where she is now, big TV shows and huge. So
when you look at a lot of businesses as well, that they really have to go through tough times. You look at if you look at the dragons from Dragon's Den, quite a lot of them have been unsuccessful as well. That they've gone through bankruptcy, they've gone through sort of financial sort of situations. Duncan Bannatyne, for example, when he first started creating his nursing homes, he created his first nursing home on a stack of credit cards. That's how he paid for it. And he was robbing Peter to pay Paul every month.
He was lucky to get those credit cards.
Absolutely.
Really, this day and age.
He'd worked on a previous business and that's what he'd invested in. But there were several times I read his book, and there were several times when he almost went under as well. And it was just by the skin of his teeth that he managed to get through. And I think, for me, and I think to a lot of business people who I talk to, success for business people that I talk to, there's one common denominator: we believe in ourselves. And I think that's the big thing.
I think people also have to kind of realise that just because they fail once or they... It's just a stepping stone. I think you learn from those experiences, don't you? And that people do lose belief in themselves because at the first hurdle they kind of fall and they think, oh my God, now I've just lost all confidence and I can't go on. But you can go on. You just have to pick yourself up and keep going and try maybe something in a different way, but not to give up on your dreams. Because what are you going to do in your life?
Yeah.
Well,
Bill Gates was somebody who, with him and his business partner, he had it's like a traffic data system. It was still to do with computers, and it completely flopped. Couldn't get it off the ground at all. But then later moved on to Microsoft, and obviously look where he is now. But that was his treading ground. It propelled them, should I say, because they're business partners, to launch Microsoft. So it was a lot. It's not, you can't ever turn around and say, oh, well, we wasted our time, because they learned a lot.
That's true.
And I think in things like life coaching, life coaches teach you to look at problems as just signposts. And they're actually sort of saying, okay, this hasn't worked, but this will. Yeah. So at
least you know that doesn't work because you've tried it.
Absolutely. But you know, and you gain that experience as well. And I think in business, that's one of the biggest assets is to actually get that experience.
And you don't even have to, because some people, there's success in other ways as well, isn't it? It's not just business and money and all this kind of stuff. Obviously, if you're a parent. I'm not a parent myself, but from what I've heard and from what I've seen, it's a really hard job. And for you to be able to, bring up children and, give them the best and everything, that is, I think that's been successful in itself, because you face so many issues, so many problems, so many difficulties, but you still carry on and you try to give the best to your children. So that is, for me, that is a type of success as well, definitely.
Really
I get a lot of women coming to me, especially with businesses and that type of thing. And I said, well, what have you done? And they said, well, nothing in my life really, or they're lost or what have you. But they've been housewives, they've been mothers. And I said, look at all the skills, for God's sakes. Recognise who you really are. And I think at times that, it's part of the pattern that you have to do to become successful. You have to recognise who you are and what you've done and the value that you can actually bring to someone else.
You're going to stay with us. Well, not for the next part, because we're going to be talking to our guest, but you're going to join us a bit later on to talk more about some celebrities and people that have, and other people that have found success.
Yep.
Great.
Alrighty, thank you so much. After the break, we'll be speaking to Rachel Christie on her life and dreams and the obstacles she's faced, and we'll see what is meant behind the question, is the glass half empty or half full?
Don't forget to subscribe to the Chrissy B Show, always aiming to show you the happier side of life. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back, everyone. So now it's time to talk to the lovely Rachel Christie. Hello, Rachel.
Hello.
How are you, my darling?
I'm all right, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. So it's good to have you on the show. I'm just going to read out a few of your achievements first of all, before we go into this. It's quite a list. So you became the first Miss England of colour in 2009.
Yeah.
Now you modelled for Fashion Relief for Haiti after being personally invited by Naomi Campbell.
Yeah.
Wow, okay. So you've been mentored by Caprice. You're the niece of the legendary sprinter Linford Christie. You're also a full-time mum, and that's very important to mention because that is a massive achievement, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And you also made it as a 2012 London Olympic athlete at one point.
That was my aspiration, to get to the 2012 Olympics, because it was in London, and you know, I won Miss England before that, so that was my next goal, to get there.
All right, so let's go through things, because you also had quite an unfortunate event in your life, which was losing your dad when you were quite young. Can you tell us what happened?
I think my dad was into some sort of drugs. I don't mean taking it, but in that kind of lifestyle.
Yeah.
And he actually got murdered in a place where I used to go to a youth club. He was stabbed in the neck and he was left for dead.
And how old were you at this time?
I was 8.
8, okay. And how did you, obviously you were quite young, but how did you cope losing your dad at that age?
I was actually really mature from a young age. I was exposed to a lot of things that maybe a child shouldn't be exposed to. So I was really streetwise. I knew a lot at that age. So I think I didn't know at the time I was feeling really down. It's only as I got older I realised that I actually was quite depressed as a child growing up. And obviously the kids at school
because of what had happened?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So, you know, it's quite a, you know, it was a big impact on me as a child. Obviously, I was daddy's little girl, so he just went, one minute he was there, next minute he was gone.
Do you remember sort of your relationship with him much? Would you say you were quite close, or?
We were really close, but he was in and out of prison as well.
Okay.
I can't hide that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so my mum always kept us close to our dad anyway, so it felt like he lived with us all the time.
That's nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
When mums do that, when they don't try to sort of separate their kids.
So I felt really close to him, but you know.
But you did something about that, didn't you? Because it was an obviously a horrible experience, but you also did something towards that. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, well, when I won Miss England, Choice FM at the time asked me to be the ambassador for their charity they were doing at the time, which was street and knife crime, because I was a victim of an attack as well.
Oh gosh, were you?
Yeah.
Oh.
And so I was the ambassador for that.
Okay, and what did it mean to you being able to do that after what happened to you and your dad?
It was something really close to my heart, obviously, because it happened to me and it happened to my dad, which is most important because he died from it.
Yeah.
And at the time, I think it was, you know, the street and knife crime was really high. So it was something that I was really proud to be a part of. And, you know, go out and campaigning against it, you know, it was really, really inspiring.
It is because, you know, it's difficult when you go through something like that already, but then it's good to be able to do something positive out of such a terrible situation, isn't it? Now, you hadn't originally wanted to be a model, so what was it like sort of getting into that industry for you?
I didn't take it seriously at first, to be honest with you. I was just like, oh, okay, or whatever, I'll just do it. And so I started going online looking for agencies. I didn't know what I was looking for. And, you know, I just click on anything and see what happened. And then I came across Miss England. I didn't know what it was. I'd never heard of it before in my life. And so I clicked on it and I filled it in and then I got a response. And that was it. I went to the audition, the casting, sorry, and then I got through to the first round, which was Miss London. I did that and I won, which was a massive shock. And then it was the grand final. And there was I think it was about 120 girls. And they were amazingly beautiful, like drop dead gorgeous, basically. And I was like, oh my God, what am I doing here? And there's a little competition she did in, you know, between the beginning and the final. So like I won Helena Cosmetics. They picked me to be the face of their brand in Debenhams, and that got me into the final 20 of Miss England.
Oh wow, okay.
And yeah, Caprice was one of the judges there on the night, and someone from Hollyoaks.
Okay.
And
Someone from Hollyoaks.
yeah, someone from Hollyoaks. I don't know his name.
Okay.
But yeah, I just remember, I don't even remember the actual night, I just remember winning and screaming, because I've never screamed in my life. So I remember that part.
It's a shock for you.
Yeah, it was a massive shock, and I was really happy.
But what about your athletics? Because you're really into your athletics before. Did you kind of put that aside a bit to do the modelling, or did you go back to the athletics?
I never thought of putting it aside. It was something I was still doing. It's just that when I won Miss England, I was busy all throughout the day, every single day. It was just a massive, you know, the next day, when I won it, the next day I was on ITV News. And it was like, you know, everything was a big shock.
Yeah.
So the athletics kind of, it drifted away a little bit, but then I caught it up again and I started again until I got an injury, and I was devastated because that means I can't run anymore. I can't do intense training.
Was that during a race or during your training?
During my training. Okay. Yeah, I went, because I was so busy at being Miss England, I would miss some training sessions. So I'd go down to the track on my own, and it would be cold sometimes, and I would just rush my session trying to get to my next job or trying to get to my next interview. And I injured myself. But it actually turned out that I had a cyst on my ovary. So if I didn't injure myself then, I wouldn't have known I had a cyst on my ovary.
Serious?
Yeah, so I didn't even know if I was going to be able to have kids or not.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was.
That's quite a lot to your stories.
Yeah, so
so it was kind of like a blessing in disguise.
Because that very night I was rushed to hospital, and then they found out that it was a cyst on my ovary, and it popped, you know, when I injured myself. So I was in hospital for 4 days.
Wow.
And that was it, really.
So is that where you sort of drew the line with the athletics? Because I know you still really love athletics.
I love it, yeah. It's all I've known since the age of about 6 years old, watching my uncle on TV. That's all I've known. And
I did read earlier that your uncle is obviously Linford Christie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was your inspiration basically for your athletics.
But
did he train you ever?
Yeah, he was my coach. He was my sprints and weights coach.
Yeah.
And then Ron Rodden, his coach, was my main coach.
Okay. So when you say obviously you got your injury, how did you get sort of through those times where you're like, oh my God, now I can't do this anymore, or at least not for now? How did you get through that?
I was devastated, but at the same time I was still busy doing modelling and doing other things, so I didn't really think about it. I wasn't, you know, concentrating on it so much, even though I knew it was something major. Yeah. It was only after the Miss England finished that I realised, oh, what am I going to do now? You know, I need to do my athletics, and I've fallen back behind so far. Yeah. And it's so hard to get into, even to get the smallest millisecond down in a race, it's so hard. You have to train so hard for that. And I missed out on so much training.
Yeah, I can imagine. Now, amongst all of this, you're also a full-time mum. Yes. How is it being a mum, first of all, for you? Tough job?
You know what? This is going to sound strange, but I never thought I'd have kids.
Really?
No, I never thought. And then when he was born, he's made me so happy. Because I don't know what I'd be doing if I didn't have him. Because so much happened before him. I mean, I don't know what I'd be doing right now. He keeps me occupied, he keeps me going every day. It makes me want to wake up and go and chase my dreams more. You know, he makes me want to get somewhere. I do it for him, so.
That's really good. But how do you kind of like, all right, for the mums that are watching now that maybe having a bit of a hard time with their kids, or they're finding it hard to cope, do you have any advice for mums out there?
I need the advice.
Really? You seem to be doing really well. So.
You know, he's all right. Do you know what?
Do you find it hard then as well?
It's not hard. It's challenging at times, but they're kids. So I've been around kids all my life, with younger kids, and it's not hard. It's just challenging at times, but you just have to have patience, I suppose.
Something lovely that I can see in you, though, from what you've said, and what I would say to other mums is how you speak about your son. Yeah. Because it's like you really appreciate him, and I know sometimes there's mums that kind of pulling their hair out, and it's like they're missing out on enjoying their children because they're so stressed, or they work and stuff like that. Yeah. But I can see that you really appreciate the time that you have with your son, which is great. Yeah. And I also think that's one type of success too.
Yeah, thank you.
It's been lovely speaking to you, darling.
And you.
And all the best for the future for you and your family.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, so don't go away, folks, because we'll be back after the break with Louise Plumb to talk about her success in transforming her body, and we'll also be hearing your voice on what success means to you.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Chrissy B Show, always aiming to show you the happier side of life. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back to the show. So before we speak to Louise Plumb, who became a fitness model after having 2 children, let's take a look at this video about what success means to you.
I define success as...
Oh my gosh, you have challenged me right there.
I define, okay.
I guess,
I don't know.
Success means motivation, passion,
determination.
Going to Disneyland.
just kicking down fear and doing what I have to do to survive.
I define success by the amount of likes I receive on Instagram.
I guess how I would define it would be the smiles that I see on my wife and kids' face each and every day I come home. That lets me know what I'm doing is worthwhile and to keep going.
I would describe it in one word: sincerity.
Achieve the goals that you set for yourself.
I started my Instagram account back in 2012. At that time, I had just lost my job, and it was one of those rare moments when I felt like I had time to really think about what I wanted to do with my life. I fell in love with Instagram. Now I do that as my job.
I want to go back to law school to help change laws and also to improve society and the world understanding of people in general, especially those who are deaf and hard of hearing.
I have thought about going back to school, even online, because I don't think I could sit in a classroom with youngsters. They probably call me grandma.
Actually had a child at 22. I never really had time to go back to school, but he turned 5 and I went back and I got my high school diploma at 27.
One of the goals I set for myself many years ago was to have a happy family, and I think I've been successful in that.
My first love is, besides my wife, is music. I feel like I just have a lot to say to the world.
I want to be the #1 Instagrammer in the world.
Waking up with the complete biggest smile on your face, knowing that you're gonna make it.
I would tell people to follow their gut.
It's never too late to do anything.
Don't sweat the small stuff.
To embrace others for who they are.
I think we all deep down know what we want to do in this world.
And don't be afraid to be you.
Thank you very much. So now it's time to meet the lovely Louise Plumb. Hello, Louise.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. What did you think of those interviews there?
Oh,
These people.
Yeah.
What about you?
Disneyland.
How do you see success?
Probably just happiness, if I'm completely honest. You're just feeling comfortable within yourself, happy within yourself, and if you can make other people happy as well.
I love that one. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so let's talk about you. So you've had quite a journey, haven't you?
Yeah.
So you're now a fitness model at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you weren't always, you weren't always a fitness model, obviously, because you came from a place where you weren't very happy about your body. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. Well, I was just a normal, regular, everyday lady. Married, had a child, and then got pregnant with my second child. Having put on weight with the first, of course, that carried on when I was pregnant with the second, and then after I had my little girl, I was quite big and quite unhappy with how I looked, and I didn't want to just kind of settle for that. I wanted to lose the baby weight, and also my brother was getting married, and he wanted me to do a speech at the wedding.
Oh, right, so
a year
up
after.
in front of everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
Tell us, just talk through some of the kind of emotions that a person does go through when they're not happy with their body.
Well, I mean, I was never big growing up or as a kind of young adult, but it was after having kids. And it's a bit of a shock, actually. Your whole body changes, you feel uncomfortable in your own skin, you have to buy all new clothes. I mean, it may seem petty and small, but to a lot of people it's actually a really big deal, and it can cause a lot of upset in your own mind, especially if you have then trouble
to lose the weight after, which I think.
So you had been
do.
trying then to lose the weight?
No, I tried as soon as I was ready to try, because I'd had 2 cesareans as well. I tried as soon as I was given the all clear by the doctor. That was when I decided I was just going to eat right and exercise, basically.
So did you sort of have to research and get help to lose the weight, or did you just do it yourself?
I did it myself. I was living in France at the time, and I had no friends, no family, no one around me. And I just decided that I was going to take it upon myself.
What did you do then to lose it?
Well, first of all, I did exercise DVDs at home because I had a baby and a toddler, so I couldn't really go out anywhere. So I just did exercise DVDs.
Did they join in with you?
No, I waited till they were having their naps. And then after a while, I started to go running. So very, very first thing in the morning before my husband went to work, I used to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and go out for a run.
Oh, that's dedicated.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Well, I made it my mission to lose the weight. I didn't want to kind of continue getting bigger and bigger, you know? Yeah.
It's scary. It's a scary thought, isn't it? Because once you reach a certain stage, you're thinking, oh my God, when's this going to stop?
Yeah, I was always very active as well before. And I mean, I wasn't kind of hugely sporty, but I mean, I was active. And then after the cesareans, and then complications, a few of them afterwards as well, it knocks you back. So I wanted to get up and get going as soon as I could.
So you lost the weight, obviously, because you're looking fabulous.
Thank you.
So how did you get into the fitness modelling?
Well, that actually came about a couple of years ago. I used to run quite a lot. I used to run 10k races and half marathons. My running had kind of got up to quite a good level, but I didn't feel like my body reflected the kind of exercise and the effort I put in. I still felt a bit wobbly and a bit flabby, you know, even after running 40 miles a week. I still didn't feel like I was tight.
Is that all?
Yeah, exactly. But this is precisely it. So I then researched it, and I realised that actually what I was eating was making me, not making me look the way I wanted to, or how I felt I deserved to look for all the exercise I did. So I cut out all of the sugar, all of the processed food, alcohol, dairy, the works, and I kind of had a very, very clean diet. And then I stopped running and I stopped doing all the cardio and started to weight train.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden...
Yes, we do tell the ladies not to be afraid of that, because it just makes you look so good, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Everyone should go in the weight section.
So many women are scared to weight train.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And not just silly little 2 kilo dumbbells.
Yeah.
You should lift as heavy as you possibly can. Yeah,
definitely.
All that will happen is you get kind of tight.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I keep trying to tell people.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So you got into the modelling as well.
Yes. Sorry. So from that, of course, I kind of my body shape changed, and through my other work, because I actually do hairstyling for photo shoots and fashion shows.
Okay.
I actually know quite a few photographers and makeup artists, and I asked one of my friends if she would take a photo of me to celebrate my 36th birthday last year, looking hopefully the best I ever did, and she agreed to. And then after the photo came out and I put it onto Facebook, all of the other friends I had and a lot of photographers saw it and then asked to take my photo. So it kind of just snowballed from there. And then the gym...
That's quite a change, isn't it, from someone that was really unconfident about your body to someone that...
Definitely. And if I hadn't have done the weight training and the clean eating, there's just no way I would have done anything like this.
So you think both are just as important as each other, the two
without
together?
doubt, yeah. Clean eating is probably more important than weight training. I mean, but if you want to look in the athletic kind of figure, the toned look, then the two go hand in hand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now you're also helping other people today, aren't you?
Yes.
Can you tell us how you got into that?
Yeah, well, since losing the weight and having a Facebook page and people seeing it, I have a lot of people asking how I've transformed from the before to the after photo. Yeah. And like I say, the clean eating is really the way forward. So now what I do is I run clean eating challenges where we encourage people to come along and they follow my 7 very strict rules. And if they stick to it for 3 months, then weight and body fat just drops.
Can you tell us a few? I don't want to give it all away, obviously, but can you tell us a couple of the
well,
points?
It's basically cutting out anything processed, any refined sugar. So it's kind of going back to basics, old school style, like 1950s style cooking, if you like. You know, making it all from scratch. If it has an advert on the TV,
stay away from it.
Pretty much.
It's true though.
Yeah, and kind of no sugar or no refined sugar, no unnatural sugar.
Right,
so honey's fine, or natural stuff.
What does the future hold for you then, do you think?
Well, hopefully,
what are you going for?
Well, I just want to help people. Right now, I mean, I will. Well, actually, sorry. At the end of April, I'm probably going to compete in a fitness competition.
Oh, okay.
But then after that, just basically just trying to spread the clean eating word. I think it's kind of a bit of a buzzword that's going around at the moment, but people are still very confused as to what they can and can't have. So we are going to look to roll out the clean eating challenges and hopefully get more people really fit and really healthy. Yeah. That's the idea.
And the thing is, it's not just about obviously the way your body is, and it's also so good for you mentally, isn't it? Because so many people are sort of feeling down and depressed, and they don't know why, even though maybe they are training. But if you're eating the wrong kind of food, you're not feeding your brain, your mind, then you will start to feel really bad.
The fog seems to lift when people eat clean. They stop feeling so bogged down and so muggy in the head. Yeah. You'll get clear and you'll sleep better, your skin gets better, just everything. Yeah,
definitely worth
amazing.
It. Yeah. Thank you so much for speaking to us, my darling, and all the best for the future as well. Thank you. Alrighty, well, do stay tuned, guys, because we're going to have Ian and Helena back talking more success stories.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Chrissy B Show. Always aiming to show you the happier side of life. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back, everyone. So we heard two very lovely stories there from our previous guest, and I've got Ian and Helena with me here again to talk about more success stories. But just before we get talking again, just going back to the 6 types of success we were talking about before. Now, one of them was obviously the materialistic one. I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to have the best in life, wanting to get nice things. I think everyone, deserves that. As long as, you're not attached to those things, as long as those things aren't your be-all and end-all, you're just there to use those things for your enjoyment. And the thing with the power as well, again, there's nothing wrong with wanting to be successful, wanting to be a manager or a business owner or someone very well known, because as long as you don't abuse that power, as long as you're not using that, to put people down, because having power can actually do a lot of good as well, and can be so influential. Yeah. And then, we have the other ones, the escapist one. Yeah, that's one I definitely want to speak about, because again, I'm all for people having fun. I like to have fun and enjoy life, and you see me going on my adventures sometimes on the show, but there are people that use these things to kind of mask a problem. So there's like deeper issues there, and they think, and we'll just have lots of fun, and we just go out and party all the time and try and forget about my problems. And I think in that respect, there's an issue there, because I think people have to deal with their problems first and not try and hide them or escape from them, that they can get help for their issues. So if you are sort of an escapist type of person, make sure you're not doing it to just, as it says, to escape from problems, but rather you are having fun because you're happy and not because you're going through stuff. Because to be honest, when you're having fun in that way, you're not really happy, you're not really enjoying yourself, are you? Because you know that there's something there hiding away and simmering under the surface.
I think you're right in so many ways. I mean, because I know you've got other things you want to talk about as well, but very quickly, I think gathering wealth is interesting. That used to be one of my drivers, but it didn't really bring me happiness. Yeah. Gaining power, as you know, I used to work behind the scenes at number 10 Downing Street, so I saw power at first hand, I saw politicians at first hand, and I saw it used and abused. Yeah. So you can really sort of see sort of both sides of the coin on or something like that as well. And as I say, I think, for me personally, I'm probably at the happiest times in my life now. Mm-hmm. Yes, I'm successful. We are both successful in what we do. We've got a really successful business. But I think happiness comes from within. The pilot light is on, it's full flame now. And I think it's really important for me just to feel fulfilled, and I think fulfillment is probably one of the key words of any successful person.
Yeah, because you know when you're not really happy. Everyone knows that, because there's kind of like this emptiness inside, and no matter what you try to do to fill it, you can't. So you really need to find, what makes you happy. Definitely.
Yeah.
You were going to say something.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about the lovely Maya Angelou, who unfortunately passed away 2014, but did so much good. And she had a lot of strife in her earlier life, but she was an award-winning everything, author, writer, dancer, great poems, and a great civil activist. And she just did so much good, and her stories were amazing. And there's just one quote that she gave which resonates with me, which is lovely. I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel, which is
So
such
true,
a lovely quote.
So she was
isn't
a
it?
contributor.
Yes, she was a bit of
the-
everything.
Yeah, so she
which
had
is
obviously she had lots of
amazing.
other type of success, but then she also cared for people.
Yeah.
And she wanted, you know, to contribute in some way to the world. And I think that is one of the most important types of success, because I think when you just think of yourself, you kind of get into this very selfish kind of world, and it's all about you. And there's actually been research done that proves that when you stretch out your hand to someone else, when you're involved maybe with charity work, when you're helping other people, it makes you happier.
Yeah, of course.
Because it's so nice to you know, just make someone else happy. It's lovely.
Well, I mean, at my advanced age, you know, I've sort of seen a lot of things in life, and I can actually give my experience onto other people now as well, and I think that's really important. And they gain benefit from it. You know, and so it's really nice to be able to sort of, as you say, to contribute to people's lives and make them feel happier. You know, perhaps. You know,
that's always good. Another celebrity, who's done really well for herself and didn't have very much at one point in her life, is J.K. Rowling, successful author with obviously the Harry Potter books and movies. But at one point she was on benefit. She didn't even have enough to eat. There was lots of things that happened in her life. Her mother passed away. She divorced. She actually was on the brink of suicide. But
Really?
she was. But she kept on to her belief. I think she was on a train once travelling from Manchester, and she came up with the idea of the Harry Potter books. And she just went for it, and she didn't give up. And look, you know, that's a real rags to riches book. And she does a lot of good as well. She gives a lot to charity, does a lots of speeches and talks, very much supporting single parent families.
To herself, basically.
Yeah, because she was a single parent family for so long, and I think, you know, amazing. Does a lot of good. Yeah.
And I think you find one of the common denominators with a lot of successful people is they have humble beginnings. You know, and they'll actually strive even at a very early age to actually sort of move their lives forward. And sometimes, you know, even children are taking responsibility that the parents really should have to gain money, to gain income. And you look at people like Lord Sugar with his Amstrad Foundation and his fortunes that he made. But he started off life in the East End of London by taking photographs and then developing films for other people. And he used to sort of, you know, he found a method of actually doing this in his back bedroom, and that's how he started his fortune. So I think, you know, it's something that I really believe in these days, is to actually really inspire 16 to 24-year-olds especially how to actually become successful. You know, and we had, you know, the wonderful young boy recently who's now sort of, you know, becoming very well known.
Tommy Rose.
Yeah.
You're talking about,
Not heard, but I think he is. There's also a lovely young lady called Bethany Hamilton, who at the age of 13 unfortunately had her arm bitten off by a shark.
Oh, I remember that story, yeah.
Yeah, and she, you know, used that in a way, the disability propelled her. She still became a top surfer, and she's, you know, top of her game, and they made a film out of it. I mean, she's done so well. She does talks, so good for her. I mean, she's still very young.
That's so inspiring, isn't it?
Incredibly inspiring.
How many people just sort of sink into depression or say, you know, I can't do what I used to do before, and I'm just going to give it all up, and there's no hope for me. Especially when you're so young. When I think sort of when you're younger, at times it's like looks and the way you look and everything is a lot more important. You've got that peer pressure and everything, and all the other young girls are okay, and I'm not. Those kind of things in your head already.
So unfazed by it,
yeah,
which is amazing.
She just went for it. She really did.
Yeah, talking of having disabilities, Stephen Hawkins, the theory of everything. You know, he obviously had a motor neurone disease, I think probably about the age of 20, and he went into quite a bit of depression as well, but luckily his ex-wife supported him, and he's done incredibly well. I mean, I have to say I don't quite understand the whole physics side of it all, but amazing. I think he took stuff from Einstein's thought process, and yeah, hugely well.
But, we've got time for one more success story.
Jay-Z, he's obviously the rapper, hugely successful now, and with Beyonce. But at one point,
Do we have another one?
One point in his life, though, no going back, he fought for years and years and years and years and years because he knew he was going to be successful. Nobody would take him on at all, and this was for years. And he then, you know, made his own label and made his own, you know, fame. Really.
A final note for me is what's always driven me it's the thought. I never want to be on my deathbed and thinking, I wish I'd done this, that and the other. So all my life I've actually accomplished and gone through what I needed to do with my life, and I think that's always been my driving force.
Good. All right, I think we'll have to leave it there. Well, thank you so much. We finished off with Ian's story. Thank you, and we'll see you again next time. So guys, I hope you've enjoyed the show today. So I know sometimes when we talk about success, maybe you don't feel very good about yourself, maybe because of issues that you might be going through or hardships that you're having in life at the moment. But the thing is, things can turn around for you. You know my story already. You know the battle I had with depression and how I used to feel that there wasn't a future for me. But in the end, I got the help that I needed and my life completely changed around. And I'm doing the things that I love. I do this show to help other people that may be feeling a bit down. So things can definitely change for you. Just never give up and keep looking for the help. If you need my advice, you can email me on chris@chrissybshow.tv. And also, if you want information about any of the guests you've seen on today's program, you can visit the website chrissybshow.tv. Bye for now. I need the auto cue. Oh, sorry. Just start pressing anything, it's all right. Is it this? First one. Did you get rid of the little piggy? The green piggy?